Hi, this is lesson number 2 for 6.1. Part 2 is the rise of urban America. This is talking about how the migrations that accompanied industrialization, people moving from the countries to the cities, people moving from other countries to the United States, African Americans in the South moving north begins to completely transform the United States. And this leads to dramatic social and cultural change. So let's take a look at how international and internal migration increased urban populations and fosters the growth of this new urban culture. First of all, we said in the first video about how we no longer were an agrarian or a farming society. We become more of an urban society. What that means is more people who were living in rural areas began to move into the cities. Thus, there was a population explosion in cities. By 1920, for the first time in American history, more people live in urban areas. That was a huge, huge shift. Second, what happens is this industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution, calls for lots of workers. And what we see is a great wave of immigration. This is called the new immigration. These immigrants were coming mostly from Eastern Europe and some from Asia. Also, since there was such a high demand for workers, we see Black farmers, sharecroppers from the South begin to leave the South and move to the industrial North. So there's a lot of movement going on during this time period. The second part of part 2 is about, again, people moving. Why did a larger number of migrants move to the West? They were in search of land. They were in search of economic opportunity. And when these white settlers move west, it's not all fun, puppies and rainbows and unicorns. It provokes competition and frequently violent conflict. White settlers begin to move to the West for a variety of reasons. There were lots of overcrowded parts to the cities, and many just wanted to go west to escape the large overcrowded, dirty cities. And they wanted to experience the frontier. They wanted to gain fortune. Also, when these white settlers go, they come into conflict with Native people and Mexican Americans who had already settled the frontier. Don't forget that the Mexican Americans have been there, the Spanish speakers in North America, for hundreds and hundreds of years. And what begins to happen is a series of genocidal Indian wars were devastating to the Native populations. We say Indian wars because lots of times they weren't really wars at all. They were massacres. And that's it for part 2 of 6.1.